Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're talking shit in the microphones because that's what we felt like doing today. How was your week, Steven?
It's just been the same. Not good or bad, just kind of grinding right now. What about you?
Also about the same.
Just grinding.
Yeah, just trying to get shit done. Prepping up for what's looking to be a very busy and profitable summer.
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
Currently at this very moment, or just in general?
What do you think about this week?
I've been thinking more and more about trying to kind of schedule my life. I almost said reformat, but that's not the right word. To scheduling in more time for art and also more time for exercise. And it's not that I don't have the time. It's that I usually like to spend that time doing nothing that I have free and available. I like to sit on the couch or drawing. That's another one I've been trying to doodle something at least once a day, if not every other day.
It's awesome.
Usually doesn't amount to much. It's usually something that's like, okay, that was cool. Maybe I'll go back to it. Maybe I'll redo it. But that's been a little something. What have you been thinking about?
So you're trying to prepare for war.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, I feel it because when I'm not doing shit, I don't want to do anything. The last so many years though, I've become so momentum based. If I stop moving, it's like I spiral really quick. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I can't sit still anymore. And some of that I don't think is like super healthy. But if I lay like on the couch too long, I start like feeling really miserable. I feel like I have to be physically or mentally preparing myself for battle where I feel like I'm a mess.
I go through phases of that where it's like not, I don't know, it's like for a good month or so I'll think that way, and then after that it's like,
fuck it.
Yeah, shit ain't happening, so I'm just gonna chill.
I may also some of it we've talked about before. Some of it's definitely insecurities, but I also have a level of vanity where like I'm a picker, like with acne or like with drugs. Like I can sit in a mirror and just tear apart my face for hours, dude. Like totally like psychotic thinking, just not able to stop myself. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way with whether that's I feel like part of it is wanting to be a better version of myself, and part of it may be fueled by not liking past versions of myself. But I will be so frustrated with myself if I just sit still too long.
Now that's interesting because I have vanity in a different way where I think like face feature wise, I think I'm very attractive. I like the way I look in the mirror, except for the rest of my body, in which I wish that I wasn't as fat as I was. Mm-hmm. And that's on me. That's something I can actively change.
But do you feel unmotivated, or is it just not a priority right now? Because those are different things. I feel like
it's a little bit of both. It's I would say it's definitely not the highest priority. It's more of a priority lately than it is normally for me. It's one of those, like, it was a priority for a long time, and I didn't, and I was unmotivated to do something about it, and then I lost a bunch of weight, and then I moved up here and I slowly have just gained it all back. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's yeah, I don't know. It's not really a depressing matter, I guess, for me. It's one of those like, I'm not, if I, walk outside my house and get hit by a bus tomorrow, like it's not.
It doesn't matter what weight you're at when you got hit by the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not going to be like, damn, I shouldn't have had, pizza last week,
Yeah. I feel it. Do you have concerns about longevity? Like I never would have used to think about that. I've always joked I've survived so many deaths. My joke's always been like I'm immortal. I'm cursed to live forever.
You're cursed to live until you die.
I just can't,
old
can't
and alone.
die. Yeah, and now I start to feel like fuck, like my lungs are fucked up, my nose is fucked up, I can't breathe, like shit like that, where I'm like, oh man, I could see this getting pretty bad if I don't work to change some shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me it was the hurting my back at the end of last year. I that sparked a big thing in me where like I still feel like it's tight certain times I like certain movements I make. And that's been a bigger issue because I feel like otherwise I'm, especially with modern medicine and whatnot, as long as I don't step outside and get hit by a truck, I'm going to live to a pretty ripe old age, and I don't want to be incapable of at least, taking care of myself to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get there. That's the main thing that I think about is like, I don't want to, be in a hospital and shit all the time because my health is so fucked up.
See, I honestly, I feel like you're one of those people. I've seen you do it with quitting other shit. Like, I feel like you could, if you really didn't give a fuck for like a long time, I could see you gaining a decent amount more weight. And then I could see you like all of a sudden one day being like, fuck it. And then like dropping all of it really quick. Like not like it happens right away, but I could see you like making that switch without it being like before it, is too problematic or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The one of the main things for me, like when I first really got involved with trying to lose a bunch of weight was I was going through some grief at the time. First I had just broken up with an ex-girlfriend at the time, and I felt a lot of weight taken off my shoulders because that was a really fucked up and toxic relationship. And after that was over, it was like, oh, I can like be myself and I can like focus on me without having to like tend to someone else's every need.
Fuck yeah.
And I did that for a minute, and I wasn't really like full on it until it was after my grandparents died, and it was like a really sudden traumatic thing, so it was like I needed some kind of an outlet, and that turned into biking a lot of cardio, and the dieting wasn't even like, it was all healthy diets. It was like mostly like, lean meats and salads, lots of pickles and olives. That was that was a main snack food, was pickles, olives, and then for something sweet I would have like prunes.
Okay.
And there was just a memory that popped up. It has nothing to do with the rest of it. But anyways, it was like there was tragedy that kind of sparked that influence, or sparked that, need to find something else to occupy my mind with.
I gotcha.
Yeah, anyways, I don't necessarily have that right now. So it's, I don't have that kind of motivation.
Yeah, that sounds like both the good and bad thing.
Right, exactly. It's good that nothing tragic is happening in my life right now. I would rather be fat with a not tragic life than have that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. We need to do a steroid cycle together.
Yep.
Two buff trash cats.
Do steroids and then just sit on the couch.
Dude, it is crazy though. Like the studies on certain chemical compound stacks, you'll shred and build more muscle than someone working out like with coaches and like strict training regimens than like doing nothing. Like it's so crazy. People don't understand. Like every fucking athlete, 90% of golfers, every fucking NASCAR racer, like anyone you see that's famous. The Rock just had some controversy because he won't publicly admit that he's still doing steroids. And one of his buddies who sells him steroids for like the last 20 years was calling him out. Like, dude, just admit, like, this is what you do. And he just won't do it. It's very interesting.
That's salty.
Yeah.
He's a big motherfucker.
Yeah, but I think he's a piece of shit for that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's like it's
Right?
one thing to do it; it's another thing to lie about it. But it's saying like he's a huge motherfucker. There's no fucking way. I guess there's not no fucking way, but it
pretty
is
much though. I mean, very
pretty
few
absurd.
genetic exceptions. And then like, you know, they have all those cheat meals and shit that go viral like online, and it's like, dude, like so many kids think they can be like you, and you have reinforced the idea of that for 30 years while taking drugs and lying about it. Like that's garbage.
It's also he's getting a lot of deals in like kids movies and shit right now. That like
He's the biggest movie star in the world right now.
yeah, if he admits that, he probably says goodbye to.
I don't think so. No fucking shot.
At least to a lot of the kids movies, and I know
I don't think so. He could weather that storm. It's one of those things where like celebrities take no, or you know, just people with power take no responsibility, because the fact of the matter is, if anybody can, it's them, and they just don't want to risk anything. Like they don't want to change shit. They just want to make money.
Can't really argue with that.
I can. I'll take their money. I'll fight The Rock. I'll make The Rock look like a pebble to a boulder.
The pebble.
See, that's so funny.
God damn it. There was a issue with there was a doping problem at the Olympics this year.
Every year.
Well, here's a funny one. A Russian team, if you recall, a few Olympic cycles ago, they were like busted publicly using like the drugs, and like they went back and like stripped a bunch of gold medals and shit like that because they had somehow managed to get by testing and whatever, and they were actually banned from competing in the Olympics. So for the last couple years, the Russian teams, quote unquote, have been, under a different name. They weren't like Russian teams. Right. They were like athlete or competitors from Russia or something like that,
Yeah.
Or Olympic competitors of Russia. And the goofy thing was like one of the figure skaters was using something, and I forget the story with it. Was like it wasn't a super, like, it wasn't like restricted everywhere kind of thing. It's like, not allowed in America or whatever.
Dude, you have to watch Icarus, because it involves the doctor who ran the Russian doping protocol for 10 years. And he talks about how he helped cheat the Olympics. And because of the documentary, those news stories came out that took the Russians out of the Olympics. So like the documentary is like the whole root of this story. And the figure skaters are the only athletes, especially by the Russians, but for all the countries, that don't take muscle building steroids, but they still take drugs that are banned. And what's fucked up though is like the Russians got busted for it because they are the worst for it, like doing the most flagrant use, and it was all, everyone knew it was that they had an actual program for doping, but the US and every other country is doing it still, just on a lower level. But over 75% of the athletes in the Olympics are doping. It's every sport, including figure skating. It's just figure skating, it's less.
Pretty wild shit.
Yeah, like there was a 12-year-old girl in gymnastics that just popped for steroids.
Oh, damn.
Like, dude, it is fucked up, man. And I love steroids. But it just can't, it's the duplicity, it's the lying that makes it so fucked up. We just need new world solutions, because now there's custom drugs that USADA can't test for. Like, you can get your own chemist to make things that are biologically identical to your hormones, you know?
Isn't that basically what Tom Brady does?
I have no idea, but I can't imagine he doesn't, because he's had such longevity in a sport that is punishing.
He, I don't know so much about that. I know he's got like multiple like dietitians and whatever, all kinds of like very special like staff people that like surround him and like monitor everything that goes into him, and like his like everyday routine is on a watch kind of thing, because I mean, with how much money that he's been given and been guaranteed or whatever.
I will say that is part of it. Like, these athletes, it's not just their decision, because they are literally a money-making machine. They're a business to everyone in orbit around them, you know? Like, to have teams of people focusing on your performance at all times is an incredible stress, and everyone is willing to help you do whatever you need to perform better and make more money. It's pretty wild.
I can tell you that according to a Google article, he drinks at least 25 glasses of electrolyte infused water a day.
Some BCAAs.
That's a lot of fucking water.
It's not that much.
25 glasses of water.
You should be drinking at least a gallon or two a day, which is 25 cups. And he's an athlete. He's sweating all that out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not that much.
When you say, when I picture a cup, or when I picture a glass, I'm thinking of like a 16-ounce glass, like a regular glass that you drink from that's not a fucking cocktail.
I do too, but the measurement is less.
If you said 8 cups of water a day, or 25 cups of water a day, that would make sense. But they don't say 25 cups of water. They say 25 glasses of electrolyte-infused water.
They said actual glasses?
Yeah.
Okay. That does seem a little odd.
This man is pissing constantly.
He's got to get all those steroids out of his system, bro.
Literally constantly. There's always a little stream of pee coming out of Tom Brady. Just a little bit.
Just look at the field. You can see everywhere he was. All right.
Special waterproof pants.
So health. All right. Here's a switch up. This is something I felt like a twinge of this feeling, and I know you would feel it or like understand the feeling. So I thought it worth discussing a bit. Because we were talking about dissociative feelings, right?
Yeah.
You know that feeling when like it's often related to like tragic moments, but not always. Just those moments in life where like it's almost an out of body dissociative feeling where you're like so deep in your thoughts and you're at like a precipice of choice, right? Where you have to make a decision. And sometimes it's really clear, like, do I do this or do that? And you are choosing what you're going to do in life. And other times it's just like, almost just like being zoned out and you don't know what's going to happen, but you feel that there is something being chosen. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. Can you be more specific?
Or
give me an example.
I can think of a bunch. All right, here's one that's I have a couple that come to mind, but here's like probably the easiest one to explain. I know as soon as you kind of get the deja vu of the feeling I'm trying to poke at, you'll know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned your grandpa. At my grandpa's funeral, you know, I'm seeing like family members around me cry and stuff, right?
Right.
And it's like, you know, for me, that's something where it's really easy to like zone the fuck out. And I remember like just really looking around at the architecture, the imagery of the church, because I fucking love that church. It was really beautiful. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I probably could cry right now. Like, I loved my grandpa. I disagreed with him a lot. And I don't know how close we would have been later, like, as I got older. But, you know, I loved him. And I'm watching everyone I know in my life, like, cry, like, distraught. And I remember having a moment where it was like, I could show or express my feelings right now, or I could choose to dissociate and feel them later because I didn't want to there. Where it's one of those moments where you're just kind of like zoned out and actively making a choice of which way you go with something. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But it feels like there's no other timeline. There's no past or present. It's just kind of that moment and that choice, and it feels like it's going to change a lot. Because it's a choice of who you're going to be or what. Like, I remember other times, like, going into rehabs or doctor's office where it's like, this, you know, this changes shit, where it feels like you don't know how it's going to work out, and, you know, some of those things could go really bad or whatever. But do you know that feeling?
Yes.
The precipice. You're at the top of the hill and you're choosing where the fuck you're going.
Yeah. And especially with loss, I feel like, you know, particularly in that moment, that is a tough one, because you know, you think, I think rationally when you break it down, I remember a point where, upon finding out what happened with my grandparents, I know I needed a minute to process it. More than a minute, but at least to kind of like accept that this is real and like what it means, because it was so sudden. It was like, and the violence of it, it was like, I don't, it was hard to, I definitely cried that day, but it was like, I know it wasn't instantly. I know there was definitely a moment where I was like, I need to stay calm and like think about this for a bit first, and then I can get to that point. But I just wasn't there, and that was an active, conscious decision to do that.
Here's, I guess part of what I want to get at is, in those kind of moments, do you feel like you were actively choosing something, like dictating who you were or your life?
Yes.
It's kind of powering, even though it's like you're so removed from reality at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's a very, like a weirdly selfish moment in a, I think in a moment where you need to be.
I feel like there's definitely times when, I mean, even if, there's definitely been things where, to bring it to a lesser degree or bring it to maybe a regular occurring thing is like, let's say you're, really busy at work and you're expecting someone to come in that's going to make it easier or something. Like there's two of you on the line or something and you got one person that is coming, they're on their way or whatever. And then you find out, like that time when they're supposed to, 8:00 rolls around, they're not there. And you're like, okay. And, you don't have time to like stop and call them and figure out like, hey, how come you're not at work right now? You just have to make that decision, or you have to make the choice of like, am I going to get upset about this, or am I just going to keep my head down and keep moving? Like, well, maybe they're late. And then you'd think like, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, it's like, they're just not showing up today. And then I feel like that's a lesser degree, but it's probably a much more common kind of a situation of like,
it is. I just don't know if it gets the same level of like, I don't know, dude. When I think back on, honestly, there's so much in my life I don't remember or is like just so blurry. But I really remember a lot of like really specific snapshots of choices, right? And sometimes it feels like it could have been so easy for things to go different ways.
Right.
And then other times I can look back at those choices and like recognize how much of a fork in the road or turn in the labyrinth they really were. Like I remember times like I don't know. I don't want to be negative, but most of them are. But I just remember so many times where it's like this choice could change so much so quickly, and it feels like you're not present in the moment, but it is really all in your control sometimes too. So, I don't know.
I see. I guess maybe I'm thinking of something else because I feel the opposite about, I mean, at least the examples that I'm trying to relate to, where I feel like I'm there and I'm making, I feel like, and I also feel like I operate well under pressure. But I feel like I'm in the moment and sometimes I feel like I have a choice to make, but sometimes I don't have that option. Like in a situation where like, maybe, I think I'm making the choice to like, I'm going to hold off on these feelings till later. Then I break down. Like I can't help it.
Say that again.
Like to insert myself into, like, for an example, if I insert myself into your situation you use as an example, like maybe feel like I'm consciously making the decision to put this off till later and reserve my emotions for then. But instead, I can't push it back and I break down.
That's very interesting.
And it's not, I feel like that's more with emotional situations. And maybe it's, and especially in a grief scenario like that, where it's much more of a, I guess, high stakes, not really high stakes. That isn't the right terminology for that, but
can be.
Yeah.
I remember like one specific day I'm leaving the gym, the YMCA, and I had done a crazy hard workout, hit the sauna. I'm dehydrated as fuck. I didn't drink my 25 cups of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting outside in Westwood, like smoking a cigarette. And I remember just looking at the sky, and it was so fucking yellow. Like, it was just the yellowest sun, like, evening sky I can ever remember seeing. And it was just one of those feelings of, like, am I going to do this or not? Or, you know what I mean? Where there was nothing high intensity happening, but it was like, fuck, am I going to, like, live or die? Am I going to try or not? Am I going to, like... Just those thoughts where it's, I don't know, you're at a precipice of change in your life, you know? Like, do you have, even if it's not the simple, like, you have to have some. There has to be a moment in your life where you were very close to doing something crazy or reckless, and you had to decide if you were going to or not, right?
Yes. That's I can't think of an example I can't think of a specific example, and at least not one that I want to talk about on the podcast, but
sure.
For sure I've had that. And
do you know that feeling though, where you're almost like zoned out, like nothing else is existing except you in this moment or thought?
It only in the way that it absolutely just lasts a moment. Never usually enough to, like, once I start contemplating and thinking actively, it's been too long, and I usually steer myself away from at least a negative decision that's, like life altering in a negative way.
Okay, here's a question. It doesn't have to be a choice moment, but in a heavy thought moment, I was going to say, do you get stuck? But I don't feel like it's getting stuck. For myself, I feel like sometimes, whether it's an argument in a relationship or like an intense choice or trying to like solve a problem, I don't feel like it's that I get stuck, but sometimes I could be like sitting, standing, whatever, and I could just be like meditating in thought on it, whether I'm doing something else or not, where it's like I'm running simulations trying to understand like what the fuck I'm feeling or what the fuck I need to do or not do. You know what I mean?
That one I definitely relate to.
But it sounds like it's more of a logic process.
Yeah, there's a lot of like pros and cons going on in my head. There's a lot of playing a little bit of chess, trying to plot out like, okay, if I do this, how does that affect? Or if I want to take this action, what will I have to address afterward? What is the repercussions of that I have to deal with? Or if I want something specific, how do I actually get that way or get to that direction?
That is much more organized thinking than mine. In those kind of, maybe that's part of the reason you don't. Sounds like maybe you don't have the same like dissociative effect on those choices because you're more actively working through them.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like I feel like this, an easy example would be like an intense relationship fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten much better at it, but I'm really bad for like, I have a fucking nasty temper, but I'm pretty good at, like a partner relationship. I'm pretty good at not letting that part of myself out there, but I do have to often kind of like shut down, where it's not that I'm not trying to continue the conversation, but sometimes I need to like stare at a wall for like 15 minutes before I can figure out what I'm going to say next. And it's not like I'm thinking, like you were saying, of I should say this or express myself this way or this will make this person feel this. It's more like a flood of emotions I have to like sort through.
Okay, yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry. I'm not. I can't relate to that one.
I feel like it'd be kind of. I feel like it'd be nice, but kind of shitty in a different way to have to go through those kind of things organized, opposed to just feel.
Yeah,
more feely.
There is. So the last like really big relationship fight that the one that comes to my head is one where I ended up. I was in a position where like I could just leave right now. Everyone says this, but I literally did nothing wrong. The reason she was mad was because I pulled up to pick her up from the front of a Walmart. We went in there to buy beer together, and she wanted to, while I was paying for it, she realized she didn't have her ID on her, so she was going to go out the exit by the plants. And so she could look, she wanted to look at plants anyways, so she was going to walk through and do that while I was paying for beer in case they carded us or whatever. We were like 23 or 24.
Yeah, I remember this.
And I walked outside and I walked past the garden entrance and she wasn't there. And I'd parked around the side of the building. So I thought maybe she's back at the car already, and she wasn't. So I got in the car and I drove back around front, and I didn't see her out front. So I did a loop, and I figured this is better anyways, because now she doesn't have to cross the street or, cross the parking lot to get in on that side of the car. Now she's getting in, pulling up with the passenger door right in front of her. I pulled up and she was mad at me because I didn't see her. And then she kept calling me, saying I didn't have any common sense, and I don't think about my actions and shit like this. And I trying to explain to her what happened. And then, I did snap and I said, "Can you shut the fuck up for a minute so I can tell you what happened?" And she got violent, and, I pulled over and she got out of the car. And I had a moment there where I could have, and I should have,
drive away.
Yeah, just driven home.
Yeah.
Instead, first I went up to her. I drove. We were like a couple, like less than 100 yards from her house. So I drove up to her house. And I sat there for a minute, thinking maybe she's just walking. She's gonna walk it off, and then we'll talk. She didn't come back, and but meanwhile, in my head in that moment, I'm going through all these things of like, how do I approach this from here? I'm like absolutely upset. I'm like, I'm angry, but like, I can't leave this fucking idiot to fend for herself right now. So I went back and I tried to find her. And I in that moment, I'm just thinking of like all the emotions that I was dealing with, but I was trying to logic out, if I do this, then this is the repercussions of this, and this is how I will try to handle this. And it was very structured and organized the way that I...
That sounds stressful, though.
It was, but I prefer that. It's less stressful to me to have to go through and sort things like that.
See, I remember some kind of high stakes ones. Like, honestly, there's a lot that come to mind where like like having a syringe in my arm, and it's like, do I pull this plunger or not? Or like,
I got nothing like that.
Yeah, or like, are we gonna rob this dude tonight or not? And it's like, but like the car stuff, like all those things are so, they're so high intensity, right? Like,
yeah,
it's the same shit in a different way, and it feels like how you, I don't know, sometimes it feels like you go through that process, whether it sounds like our processes are kind of different, but we have like, whether it's a self-defense mechanism or whatever, we have a way of thinking where like our mind's kind of working on a different like cycle than normal to help you solve a problem in life, right?
Yeah.
Does that? And then what my big take from it is, though, is just that I feel like those moments can be so empowering or like out of our control completely at the same time. And it just, in reflection, just feels like life is just so fucking weird. Like those moments could have gone so many different ways. That argument at Walmart could have gone 100 different ways, whether you made a choice for it to go that way or not. You know?
Right.
And in theory, it can change a lot really quick. Like it might not have been high stakes yet, and maybe that's in part because you addressed it with really organized thinking and kept your cool. You know what I mean?
Well, it definitely, you learn a lot through retrospect too. You saying it gives you something you can look back on it and like.
What do you learn?
Well, what I learned was I should have taken from the cue that whenever she would ask me stuff like what, like that's what I kept trying to get a word in edgewise because she kept saying like, what were you even thinking? And like kept repeating that, and I kept trying to tell her, and then she'd interrupt me with more insults.
No,
and
but like,
so what I take from that is what I should have done instead, which was not say anything, go up, drop her off at her house, take the beer, and go home.
But that's like very micro or like specific to that situation. Like when, let's say 20 years from now, we're looking back on life and our choices and mistakes. And I'm thinking about, here's some crazy shit I almost did, and I don't know why or why not it went this way. And you're looking back at what at the time would have been an important relationship, and it's like, why did it go or not go this way? Like, what the fuck's the takeaway? Because for me, I keep kind of coming back to, like, I learn more about myself, but I feel like I learned less about life because it's just like, this shit's weird as fuck. And like so many things could have gone different, better, or worse.
Let me more generalize what I stated a minute ago. So what I took away from that, and I think one of the bigger lessons I learned from that was you can't control someone else's actions, but you can control your own reaction to those actions.
Yeah. So
I feel like that was my biggest takeaway from that. And it wasn't that I didn't have, lessons in that before, but that was the biggest. It was like like she was like grabbing at the steering wheel and scratching at my face. And it was like so many things in this could have been avoided, but also that was the catalyst to me actually like leaving her, was because of because like, it had never gotten that. It would never been like there's definitely a lot of emotional and like verbal abuse kind of shit, but it was never like a physical in that way. And that was a big eye opener for me in that way. But it's something that I think I carry with me going forward. My reactions in that moment led me to, I later regretted the way that I handled that somewhat in a way that going forward, I remember that.
I get what you're saying, and I'm with you. Like that's where I guess I feel the conflict goes, because I when I look back on a lot of the choices, I feel empowered. Like I didn't always make the right choice, but I made enough to get the luck of the dice to be where I am or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here. Yeah.
Sure. But there's always that element of like, what if, during that altercation in the car, you cross over the double yellow and your life's totally different.
Right.
There's that element of like, as empowering or as much choice it feels like we have in those precipice moments, there's also like a level of like, this could have been completely different regardless of what the fuck I did or didn't do.
Right.
It's all existentialism and
some free speech shit going on there. Or not free speech, free will shit. That's the First Amendment shit right there, dog.
Fuck yeah, brother.
God damn it. That's it. That's some free will shit. That's some, regardless of choices you make, sometimes you walk out front and you get hit by a truck.
That fucking bus coming.
Yeah, it's going to come for you.
But that is where it's really tricky because it's, I don't know. I really do feel like the more I learn about myself, the less I understand about what we're doing.
Right.
Being here. I know what I'm supposed to do more, but I don't know what else is going on around me. I feel like
Can I tell you a secret? No one does.
A lot of people think they do, though.
Yeah, but no one does. No one knows.
It gives them a level of assurance. Like, I was thinking about that today, yesterday, actually. Driving through Price Hill. I'm on West 8th, and it's sunset, right? No, I'm a sucker for sunsets.
It's beautiful. Sunset on West 8th. Oh, boy.
It was the fluffiest clouds, pink with blue tinges. No,
passing the Sunoco.
Here's the thing, though. My brakes aren't great because I'm gonna change it myself, and I keep putting it off. So I got sketchy ass brakes right now, and everyone drives 25 over the speed limit.
Yep.
It is Mad Max. It's a war zone, dude. And dude, I got charges. I don't drive over the speed limit. I will get pulled over. I have DUIs. They will pull me over. So I'm driving slow as fuck. I'm just chilling, and everyone's like trying to fight to get around me and shit. I'm like, fuck you. I'm just chilling. I'm watching the sunset, and I remember thinking to myself, if I was on drugs or this was 5 years ago, I would think this is beautiful, and I would feel really like zen I would feel like this is how I'm supposed to feel in this setting, right? And this time driving down West 8th, I was like, this place is fucking ugly.
Yeah.
Like think of all the places in the world. Like imagine the world.
The veil is gone.
Yeah, just like imagine the world with no. Damn, see, they're racing on my street right now. Imagine the world, no people on it. And you have to like come into the world any place at random, right? Now imagine coming into a Midwestern hilly plains area, nature overgrowing. No, in our timeline, it's just drugs and dirt and smog and people racing in steel vehicles. There's car wrecks everywhere. There's a cop wandering through the street chasing somebody. Like this is not like the beautiful earth I would want to be on.
Yeah, this is Price Hill, homie. This is my hood.
Yeah, and it's like I used to be able to like feel a level of confidence or assurance, like, I know what I'm doing. And it's like more and more I feel like, no, I know who I am, but I don't know what the fuck is going on around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% do.
It's like the place that we're in, just the more familiar with ourselves, the stranger the place around us is.
I mean, that's like the whole point of science, isn't it? Is to like try to unlock that knowledge of like on a grand sense of like what's physically going on around us, but just continues to open more and more doors.
I think you get assurance from that. I think
it's not even that I get assurance from. I mean, in the same way that like some people get it from religion or whatever. It's
sure.
when it's like Lost, where one mystery may get answered, but then you get 3 more. And there's just like all this other shit that's like, well, what the fuck's happening with that then? Or
do you feel that? Do you feel like you have more questions opening in life, or do you feel like you've narrowed the doors down?
I'm not sure if it's that I feel like I've narrowed the doors down, or if I've just stopped giving a fuck about things that I can't control. Or I've stopped
thing or a bad thing?
I've stopped giving a fuck about things that I can't know the answer to.
Okay, help me figure that out with
with
in
your like choices. There are certain things where in life you have control over. Particularly like I said earlier, you have control over the way that you react to other people and the way that you react to other things. You can control that. Some people easier than others. What you can't know is what other people will do, or what other people, what you don't know the actions of other people. You don't know the motives of other people. You don't know, what's going on in their life to the point where they're doing some dumb shit right now. So rather than, I don't know, that's, mostly on people, but even like on a grand scheme of like why we're here and shit like that. It's like, it's questions that like, it's not, I'm very aware of these things that I don't know and I can't know. And it, but I can focus on what I'm doing and why I'm in the situation that I'm in.
I agree. You said a moment ago, though, you felt like, I'm going to mess up how you phrased it, but the more you know with yourself, the more questions it opens.
No, well, that's, I was kind of speaking hyperbolically, where it's the more you look at, the more you look into like, well, why is this person the way they are, or why, or what are they doing? You get sucked into different things where like, I'm trying to think of a good example to go off on. Like, why is Price Hill the way that it is? Why is it really shitty and dirty? And it's, you open more questions than you need to really answer, when really the answer is because people suck. And you can stop there. You don't need to go on a detailed, breakdown of why certain things are shitty or certain things are, I don't know, better. But you can usually chalk it up to a quick summary based on your own experiences. Because it would take too much effort and time in your own part to really break apart the mystery of.
See, I think you may feel similar. With a lot of things, like why is Price Hill shit? It's definitely not a mystery. Like,
I know what you mean, but it sounded funny to say.
Yeah, but it's kind of it for me. It feels like intuitive. Like I may not have the organized thinking, but I can feel a million different reasons like that. This is the way things are around us.
Yeah.
But the more in tune I feel with myself, the more uncomfortable those outside places feel. Like
it's just because you're more aware of them.
It's more like I don't feel like I can ignore them. Like I can't hide from anything anymore. And I feel really bitter with like everywhere. Like I don't think there's anywhere I really want to be. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense.
Like I don't give a fuck about anywhere. You know what I mean?
Would you say this is more of a revelation, or maybe less of a revelation, but more of a turning point that's gotten stronger since you've been sober?
Definitely. I mean, I think I've gotten less aggressive over, in my 20s, but more I don't know if it's bitter or just like I don't feel bitter or frustrated anymore. I just don't want to fuck with anyone or anything. You know what I mean? Like I just want to do my own shit because it makes me feel fulfilled. Like I'm fulfilling a purpose within myself, and I just care less about what's going on. The other day, Sarah, she always makes fun of me. As soon as I get on my laptop, which I'm typically charging on the bedroom floor, as soon as I sit down with it, I'm gone. Like, I lay on a wood floor, and I'll be on the floor for 6 hours. Doesn't matter what weird position I have to tie myself into. Like, if I'm reading, writing, making art, recording a shit trash podcast, like, I don't need anything else outside of myself. And it feels kind of lonely because I'm not fucking with people or experiences so much, but I don't feel like I need things outside of myself as much anymore, for better and worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I be honest with you? That's how I feel that's how I felt for as long as I can remember. There's definitely more of like a social obligation I felt when I was younger to like, oh, we're doing this weekend. We're going out to, David's place or whatever. But I've always been in a way that I'm very, very content just being alone.
I can suddenly understand that a lot more now.
Yeah, and like not even so much just alone, but like in my own world with my own people, like the very close few. That like I'm totally fine with just doing that and like not being going out and like absolutely not meeting new people. Heaven forbid.
Yeah, I like meeting new people on the internet, not in real life. Like, I like messaging strangers about random shit online. Like, I'll keep pen pals of people I have no idea. Dude, this sounds creepy as fuck, but I promise it wasn't. When I was like 15, I pen palled with a dude that lived on a boat in the Florida Keys. Mm-hmm. Just traveling from little island to little island like a homeless boat person. He would clean other boats for money and shit. And we like pen palled for half a decade. Like, never anything creepy, but it was like right after Tony killed himself, and his brother did the same kind of shit. And somehow, through like fucking MySpace or some weird chat rooms I was fucking around on, like, I made a Florida boat friend.
The Florida boat friend.
And we messaged for like 5 years. Like, I like talking to, even if it's people I disagree with, but I don't want them to be part of my life. Like, right. I don't want to actually give a fuck about them.
Yeah.
It's like a form of theft. It's like you're stealing thoughts and ideas and emotions from each other, but you're not offering as
emotionally invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another hard one, is like when I am in a relation, like when I meet new people and whatever, there is a very fine line, I think, between like, I know you because of like, I've met you one time and I've talked to you before, and I actually, enjoy talking to you. There's a margin there that I think for usually a lot of people, there's a wider gap, but usually it's like, if I actually enjoy talking to you, we'll talk more. Like, I'll seek that out. I'll try to, make plans or something like that. I will go extra miles to spend time with people that I like. But
that's half true.
That's
because like you said, you're very okay with it being mostly your internal world, and you've said before, like, it's hard. It's not that you don't want to, it's just harder for you to reach out to people because you're doing your own thing. Right.
Well, there's that. But if I do, like, if I feel a kindredship with, somebody, if I feel like like there's something there, whether it's like just a friendship, usually less often a friendship, but more often like, you're somebody I'm interested in.
Sure.
Like, it's very easy for me to go to turn that around and want to spend time with a person. But more often than not, I'm not even in a situation where I'm not even putting myself in a situation where I'm meeting new people. Like that's where it is.
Really
like,
well socially. Do you feel like you're missing out on
no,
more external experiences?
No, I've met people. Most of them suck.
Sure.
Most of them disappoint me.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I definitely don't feel like I'm missing out on anything because I have felt that before in the past, and then I, talk myself into going out and hanging out with people or whatever, and then I just get sick of it. Like within, an hour or so, it's like, this is dumb. If it's like I'm going there, if I'm going out with like people that I'm already friends with, even then sometimes, like, unless we're like close friends, it's like, this is cool and everything, but this is, I had the fucking Super Bowl party a little while ago, and at one point, someone said, "Hey, I'm sorry, we're, probably going to take off early." Their partner had to work really early in the morning, and they're like, "We're probably going to take off." And I was like, "That's all good." I was already trying to figure out how I'm going to tell all these people to get the fuck out of my house by 10 o'clock. So,
yeah.
And sure enough, like someone had to move to let them out. And then they were like, "Well, we're probably going to take off too."
Like,
and
please,
then
yes,
suddenly everyone's
reaction.
like, "All right, cool. It's probably time to take off." And I'm like, "Yes." And I told them, like, I openly addressed the room. They were like, "Oh, sorry, I feel like we're all bailing on you." And I was like, no, that's totally cool. I was already trying to figure out how to get people the fuck up out of my place. Like, I enjoy having people over 100%. I love hosting parties in my own space. I like doing that with people that I know. That's totally cool. But like, only a couple hours in, and it was already like, this could end now. So that's where I'm at.
Can I spin?
Yes.
All right. So, for better or worse, if we're both kind of turtling into interior worlds, right?
Yeah.
There's no worlds left to conquer out there. It's all inside, right?
It's all from the perspective of the keyboard.
Sure. Do you feel like do you ever feel like there's something missing in the sense of, like, for myself, I feel this. I wish there was like a great war or challenge in our life we had to conquer. Does the feeling of that, not necessarily the reality of that, but like, I wish there was that end mission in the game. There was like something all the preparation was for, or the thing that, like, that obvious challenge. You know what I mean?
So you're banking on World War III. You're hoping for it.
Honestly, I would hate a global warfare by country, but if I knew at 70 years old I had to fight another 70-year-old man to the death, and then that was how we found out if we got to live for 10 more years in the nursing home or not, I would love that. I would love, like, there's so many, like, unexpected, like, insidious kind of challenges in life, those moments of choice kind of thing, or, like, the randomness of it, but knowing there was, like, the great battle ahead would feel very clarifying. You know what I mean?
I understand somewhat, but I don't partake in that desire or that feeling for that need of that, or the wish of that.
You don't want to go to war with me, comrade?
No, I'm good, dog. See, I feel like I focus too much already on, like, the everyday struggle of tolerating and dealing with the bullshit of other people. Like, the thing that, like, I can't do things that I want to do or things that I feel like I should be able to do because of other people.
Do you feel that strongly?
I feel it enough.
Yeah.
I feel it enough that it's definitely like, I mean, even on a small scale of like, I try to make you make plans around like, I don't want to go to, the whatever fucking grocery store right now because everyone's getting out of work right now and they're all going to be there and it's going to be a fucking madhouse and I don't want to do that. Or, in a way, there's just goofy shit like that. Like, part of it's just avoiding people to avoid.
God, dude, you're really confusing though because
I don't know, man.
Because, all right, anytime, all right, this is something I've noticed over the course of this podcast, okay?
Uh-huh.
You have made far more definitive statements that people suck, right?
Yes.
I used to want to genocide the whole world, right? Like, including myself. Everyone should fucking die, right?
Mm-hmm.
I take a very strong stance at this point that people are 50-50, even if I don't actually believe that's the actual breakdown. I've noticed through the podcast, you very much go to people fucking suck mode, but you're also the one who believes much stronger than me that you're in it all together. You're in the same hallway of life. And I know you would, on 99 times out of 100, if that stranger who annoyed you so much at the grocery store asked for help, you would show more compassion.
That is also true.
You're split, dude.
Well, I feel like I'm split, but I feel like it's on a micro.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I'm not necessarily saying it's bad, but I'm picking up that there's a friction there for you.
Not in a way that I feel any kind of confliction on it. We've discussed before, like if I do something nice for someone, especially for someone I don't know, it's for me, we all do that. When you help out a stranger, you're doing it for you, for that feeling of the pat on your back kind of thing.
See, I was just about to ask, why would you help someone you hate? See, for me, I don't feel
and that's like the thing is, I don't feel like I hate people as a general.
That might have been worded strong, but that's basically
I don't care to spend time in the company of most people.
Well, they annoy you.
Most people, yes.
Yeah. So hate might have been stated strong, but
right.
All right. If I were to, I've definitely done it a few times, but more times than not, I'm driving right by the poor fucker. But I've stopped and pulled over to help someone with car troubles before, right?
Right.
I would never think of doing that for myself. Because I don't feel like I get anything out of it. I feel like I lost time, I lost patience, I likely am frustrated by them. I feel like I only did it because I wanted to help them. And I feel like it sounds like you might feel that in reverse.
Well, no, I think actively in the moment, I feel like I want to help this person. But realistically, like you said, I lose more than I gain. I lose time. I lose, I found that out about, mostly getting people's cars unstuck from the snow in a shared parking lot in an apartment complex.
We had part of this decision previously about how it all goes back to like selfishness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. There's a certain level of like, you see someone that's like clearly can't get their fucking car out of the snow. And it's like, if I'm late for work, I ain't stopping to fucking help. So, or I know if I can't, if it's one of those, like if I feel like I'm going to be just a minute late or something, that's whatever. If it's like they are desperate, but then sometimes most of the times I've tried to help someone in this exact kind of scenario, you think it's going to be like, all right, cool. Let me help real quick, I'll push you, whatever. And then it ends up becoming a, 15-minute long ordeal.
Drive me to my crack dealer and help me pick up my baby.
Right. Yeah. All kinds of shit like that. And you're like, I don't have time for this. I don't have the energy for this. And I've definitely, like I said, in that moment, there's definitely the thought of, I just want to help. I want to help this person. They look like they need help. Imagine it was me and I needed help. I would want someone to stop and help me. I never expect anyone to do that because I'm a pretty, wide frame looking, healthy, strapping young man. So I could probably fucking, don't need help with shit, and I don't expect other people to stop and help me for shit. But if someone looks like they need help, there's definitely that thought in my head where I could probably help them. And then, once again, that rolling, thing of the organized outcomes and organized thoughts come in, and it's like, do I really want to do that? Or is it, is this trying to, verbally, or not verbally, ocular pat down the situation? Does it look like it's going to be something that turns into a whole fucking ordeal? You know, do I actually want to do that? Do I, let's say it turns into an hour long, like they need someone to help them do a thing and for the next 45 fucking minutes. Do I really want to do that? Nah. I want to help them in a way that's convenient to me. Sure.
Here's the question, though. I think what I might be getting at a little more is as much as it sounds like we both do, we feel kind of unconcerned with a lot of what's happening with other people and the world, right? But as frustrating as you find people, I think you definitely have a level of belief in people, or you wouldn't want to help them, or you wouldn't feel like you're in it together in the hallway.
I think it more falls into the we're all in it together in the hallway. I think is more of a philosophical view of like
humanity.
Yeah, we're all on the same spinning rock, whether we like it or not.
But that's kind of the same thing at a macro, right?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying in a micro sense though is me, and I feel like I'm trying to think of the way you just phrased it made me realize a thing. The faith that I have is less in humanity and more in myself. And it's one of those be the change you want to see kind of thing. Like if people that weren't shitty decided like, you know what, everyone else is all assholes. Why don't I'll just be an asshole too then. Then that's that's giving up entirely one on yourself. But yeah, also you're giving up on humanity in that way. So I guess I've that's usually I think the frame of mind that I try to would put that in, is that I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it because I don't want to be the asshole.
What if you were the people's king, right? You're leading the march down the hallway, right? Like half the world believes in you and your way of seeing things and the change that you wish to be. Other people are inspired by that and they're following you, right?
That is the hope that people are, when you help someone that
sure
they pay it forward kind of thing.
And they often don't, but sometimes they do. But let's say you're God King Ricky III, right? And half the world has decided to hail you as their great leader.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when confronted by the opposing force? The other 50-50 split of trash people that will always fight you and try to tear down your great nation.
This is a fun hypothetical, Stephen.
What level of war would you go to for peace?
You're talking about on a global scale, half the planet is inspired and fueled by me.
I'm really...
you just mean the people in the hallway.
Yeah, just on an interpersonal level. Like, what do you do if, like, you feel like you can make a change or be a positive force and you're met with resistance? Like, what level do you fight? Because I feel like our retreat into internal worlds, or like chilling on the couch doing our thing, works really great when it's only affecting us or our world. Like, it's all fair. That's our world. We do what the fuck we want. But if we were a leading or opposing force in that, I don't know.
I feel like it's not like I want to wage warfare against, people that don't want to be,
But we are in war against the churches, the lying politicians, Russia, China.
Okay, so I feel like even then, the idea is to, it's like, what is my concern if someone doesn't see things the way that I do? If it's holding me back from something, from me being the person that I want to be.
That's what I'm saying. It'll hurt you or the people, the half of people you believe in. Right? Like, there's powers. It's basically like standing up, truth, power, whatever. Like, there's...
I'll stand by my convictions, and I'll but it's not like I don't know, like, no one's like oppressively holding me back, though.
I feel like that's probably fair. I mean, I feel that way for myself too, but I think we also both feel like maybe half the people we would consider on the more righteous side of morality, a lot of people maybe less fortunate than ourselves get fucked over a lot. And it's like, you try to be, I don't know, a force against bad shit, but...
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, you can go toe-to-toe with shit like that, but I mean, truthfully, the best, at least in my experience, I feel like the best way that you can combat shit like that is by educating other people to be better people, or trying to show lead by example of being a not shitty person. And it's obviously not a quick game changer, but
I've always held the...
I was going to say quick changes are Band-Aids. Usually.
Yeah. I've always held the belief there's always this, debate. I don't want to, like, necessarily speak about shit I don't know too much, but I'm just kind of talking about the idea of it. There's often the debate on whether, like, the two paths of change, right? People talk about, should it have been Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, right? The more peaceful, thoughtful approach being the change, or the more aggressive approach, right? I'm not speaking about those two gentlemen at all, but just those ideas of how to change shit.
Right.
And I feel, especially in politics today, there's always an argument over which route political groups decide to go, and they're often criticized for whichever way they didn't go, right?
Of course, yeah.
I feel very strongly you have to have both. That maybe one way was never going to be enough on its own, and that it takes so many of the changes that have happened or that will or will not happen in our lifetime take such a collective of people stronger than individuals, that things have to happen on both a peaceful leadership level and aggressive battle level.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
And, shorter term, many small aggressive changes over a length of time, while, a slow, change is happening in the background kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
that does lead to success. It just takes a long time.
Lifetimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's generations, and basically, you're weeding out the change. It's generations of people who, whether it's people who oppose the change or people who can't get with it, kind of thing, or whatever. You're weeding that out over generations, and it's not just until, because I think we've talked about this. We were talking about like what do you do? How do you punish? You don't punish people for thinking a certain way. You hope to reform them. That's what the whole thing about prison's supposed to be, is or try to help people recover kind of shit. Or so you can't execute people for it's not eye for an eye kind of shit. It's educate.
It is complicated though, because we've also had the discussions. We both believe in compassionate treatment, but there is a line what do you do with the person who adamantly will never change and they've killed 25 kids?
Obviously you hold people accountable.
It's hard,
in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, exactly. It's hard.
So, would it be fair to say it seems like you're more drawn to the route of being no specific issue, being the change you want to be,
right?
And I may be more drawn to making the change I want to be. Because I want the war. I don't know what it is, but I want to die fighting for something. I don't even think it fucking matters what it is. I just want that conflict. You know what I mean?
Now,
I feel that deeply.
That's somewhat interesting to me, but probably not in the way that you think. That's one of those things that I've often thought about, when you start to feel existentialist. And I'm going to go ahead and, I know my parents sometimes listen to the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and tell them, now you might want to tune out for some of this bit. So I think about my own death sometimes, and I feel I don't know, I feel like that's one of those I guess dying in my sleep would be the best, that's the goal for me. It's don't realize it happens kind of thing. That's the thing. But even then, it's there's so much.
You deserve better, bro.
It's I want a little bit of fanfare. Something. Dude,
who doesn't want to die a martyr? Right?
I don't want to die a martyr.
You don't want to die fighting for something?
No.
In a holy war? you don't want to die
the anti-holy war?
Yeah.
No, I'm good on that. I'm good not dying by combat.
Sure, but I don't even know if I'm I don't want to die fighting for the United States. I don't want to die in
I definitely don't want to die fighting for a government.
Yeah, or a company. That's the future. Corporate warfare.
Corporate warfare.
It's happening, bro. They got spies. But you know what I mean. There's part of you that feels it, or you wouldn't have said what you just said, because there is something romantic or inherently meaningful of like having the final boss, like you're the end going towards something you believe in, opposed to just a peaceful falling asleep. You know what I mean?
I mean,
there's part of us that yearn for the conflict.
Yeah, I don't yearn for conflict at all. I could go my entire life with the most like just the conflict that I need to get by on my, is like, oh, I need to, I don't know, I need to do something responsible, but I felt like doing something irresponsible instead. Like dumb shit like that like it's not real conflict, especially not with like other people and shit like that. I definitely don't seek that out in any way.
What did you mean when you said that maybe it would be something more than just sleep? Like, what did that mean?
That's what I don't know. I don't know. Like I pictured more. I don't know. I try to think of like more, not even really exciting ways, just something that's more than just.
You just want pure pageantry, fanfare.
Yep. I want to die during a what's it called, a parade.
See, I picture it.
No, I picture something more like where at least I'm awake and I'm aware of it, and I can have the waking moments of like. I don't know, as terrifying as it kind of sounds to think about, it's like the knowing that like this is it and there's about to be a change. That part is interesting to me. The pain of it all and whatnot that's a bit, more scary and whatnot, but the coming to terms with it part is both terrifying and intriguing to me.
I have a comment.
Yes.
But I picture it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Pope has taken over all of Europe. Right? He's invading the United States. The Catholic troopers are inbound to the Midwest. We take the high ground. The Pope is on the tour of his dominated lands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm aiming the RPG-7, and you're loading the rocket-propelled grenade into the back, okay. And we're firing on the Pope as his snipers try to take us out. And we die only after knowing we killed him.
Okay.
Come on.
I mean, yeah, it sounds sick. It sounds dope. It's also extremely hypothetical, and I don't know, like
it's just the root, the little flicker, the ember of wanting it to mean something, right? To me, what I'm picking up on is you want to build shit and you want to like tell your family the things you've learned before you passively peace on. You're a builder.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You want something peaceful. You want to share it with the few people in that circle.
Yeah, I'm not fucking Master Chief out here. Just going for it. Looking for the next war.
See,
I'm not trying to Halo 3 finish the fight.
All right, but if I put a gun on a table, you're picking it up. If no one's around, you're going to touch it.
In the during the Holy War, you mean?
Tomorrow. If I drive down to your place tomorrow, I break in, I sneak out like a bandit, but I left my gun. There's no way you don't touch the gun. And there's no way, if no one's around, you don't aim it at something and go, pew, pew. I'm telling you, there's no way.
I tell you, that's literally the last thing I do with guns. I've never done that with a real gun before. other than for shooting an actual target, actually shooting bullets on a for real target.
See, I play with imaginary guns more than real guns.
Well, airsoft guns.
But I know you feel a little bit of the piece of like. It sounds like you're more drawn to building something peaceful that's sustainable, that you can pass on. But I know you feel an element of the wanting to be affecting something.
Affecting something, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a real fight, but even if it's just ideological.
I mean, I guess so. You won't usually die from ideological.
Sure, it doesn't have to be the actual.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, is the way I die.
Yeah, but this is all analogy. Like, it could just be you slamming on your keyboard, uploading the last podcast episode before your heart drops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like, yeah. I want to be conscious for that. I want to know it's coming, kind of thing. I say I like the idea in a way that I probably won't like as much upon feeling it, and I'm aware of that. I'm sure the final moments are, when you know it's coming, are much, much more terrifying than that.
Yeah, the few people. I've only seen a couple people die, but they always look a lot more scared than you think they were going to look.
It's everything stops. No one's there to clear your hard drive and to delete your browser history. No one's there to you can't do whatever dumb fucking thing you were planning. The one thing you were looking forward to this week, you're not going to be able to do, kind of thing. Like the little shit like that like, whatever plans that you thought you had, like you can't even call, someone and tell them like, hey, I can't make it to that. There's no.
What we got down to though is the only reason this podcast works, because the yin yang, right? Like you want sustainable peace, and I want conflict. Like,
you want all out war,
dude. I really do, man. I want a war worth fighting for, though. That's the thing, is there's no cause.
I was gonna say, just hold your breath, man. It might be coming.
But there's nothing. It sucks not believing in anything.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. It's like, they're so fucking stupid. There's not. And yeah. There's like the only leg up in the war, or the only leg up in a reason of why you might want to be involved part of it in any way is like, this is fucking stupid. Just to end it, because this is fucking stupid. Well, there's no reasoning behind. No logical reasoning besides ego and shit.
And that's I think the base root of why people want to be a part of groups. Why people want to join a religion, a club, a group of friends, whatever. Like part of the zebra herd to blend in.
So they have a fire team when it all goes to shit?
That's part of it. But it makes you a part of something bigger than yourself. And if you have the want to like change things or stand for something, if you don't believe in it much outside of yourself, it makes it hard to have that collective experience.
Let me throw this at you. When it's becoming like being a part of something bigger than yourself, that's what that translates in my head to me is people that are walking in a hallway alone, but they want more people in their hallway with them.
Yeah, 100%.
And meanwhile, 100%. I'm here and everybody's in the hallway. We're all here. They might not realize it because they're not looking around them, but
God, that's just
we're all in my hallway.
But it's so it's
people who haven't listened to that episode and don't realize what we're talking about means absolutely nothing.
Fuck them, they're not listeners. But it's so odd to me though, because like fundamentally you believe even if you're on your own in life, everyone is in it with you. It's like you're in the hallway, but they have to be a mile back. But it doesn't matter because they're still there.
Well, here's another cool thing. When you think about, like, we don't know what happens after you die, right? But like, there's, if you're going by the logic side of it, then you die and it's over with, right? So when you die, all of those other people are basically dead too. So the idea of, like, your existence in that hallway is as essential, if not more so, than everyone else's existence in that hallway.
Say that one more time for me.
Your existence in that hallway is as meaningful, if not more meaningful, than the existence of everyone else in that hallway. To have everyone else in that hallway, you need to be there.
I get what you mean. I like that. Part of what I'm running into, I'm feeling a little confusion of fundamental cores.
Mm-hmm.
The want to be part of something bigger than ourselves is difficult when you believe you're bigger than everything. Like when you're a giant, right?
Right.
Like nothing's bigger than me. Fuck everyone else. They're nothing. I'm the biggest one here. I'm the fucking giant. Which is like,
is that how you feel?
I don't actually feel that big, but I do feel like that I am the giant. Fuck everything.
Yeah.
Else. Burn the landscape. I will stand above it.
You're the protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a tricky thing though, because you don't get to have that because there isn't anything bigger.
So,
you know what I mean?
So I get that feeling from, or the part of, feeling part of something greater. I get that from small stuff like it's working at the last couple of jobs where I get to, like, talk to my customers. It's meeting new people, but it's meeting new people from a position of power. You have come to me for a good and a service. I am here because you need something from me, or you're seeking something from me. So I'm in a position of power. So being there and meeting people that way is less taxing to me than it is meeting other people different ways, because I have information that these people want. I have things and information that people are interested in, and they're, asking me for. So when I can readily supply that to an open group of people, I feel like I am part of something bigger in that way. I'm part of my community because I am part of, providing a service.
Now, I question you a bit because I get that from my art. Like if I'm feeling kind of shitty, I can scroll through my shitty art pages and I see people get enjoyment out of it, or like share positive shit, or like how it made them feel, whatever. And that's really cool. Like that's probably the closest genuine connection I get to a bunch of people in those bursts at once. So it's kind of fun to look back on or whatever if I'm feeling sentimental. But I question for you and for myself, because I don't think art definitely doesn't always meet that full expectation. Do you feel like that's really enough? Like especially in a work, like do you feel like that is a fulfilling enough experience to meet your need to want to feel bigger than something? Because like frankly, I feel like most of my life is avoiding being part of something any bigger than myself because I don't believe in anything bigger than myself. I don't believe in fucking any organized religion, any government
Right.
thing, any political party. There's no cause I believe in that is that much greater than myself, but I still want, like, I would love to be part of something, but I don't feel it.
I mostly feel the same way on that. And that's why, like, it is enough for me. Something that small that is, you know, it's more in my imagination than it is a firm reality. Like, I am just, like, when you go to any store and you run it, even if it's a store, you know, that you just go in once and you never see again, I'm that person. And I'm getting a sense of community from that. It's for me that I make up in my head. Now I do have like regular people that I see every week that come in, and that does make that feel more real and tangible. But it's just something for me that I have made up, this connection, this relationship with this that does fulfill the need of, in my head, of being a part of something that, or even like D&D night kind of thing. This podcast does it. Because it's not just me, it's you and me. It's not just, you know, the D&D night is like, you know, usually a few other people, even if they don't always fucking show up. You know, it's enough of those few things are plenty enough for me. Because, like, especially government stuff or, like, religious organizations, anything like that, I have no connection, I have no affiliation with. And they definitely don't make me feel like it's a you know, part of a community that I want to be involved in. So
it just more and more feels, and I feel like this is where we might loop into a past conversation a little bit, but it feels, I feel like I'm getting a better understanding of how you might feel or see the world. And it feels like you're really scoped out, like almost very zen-y, more zen-ish than I may have initially thought, because it feels like you're just kind of like at peace with however the fuck it is. Like
I'm just out here vibing, man.
Yeah, there's a way for you, like, even if it's in the small ways, to feel the amount of connection you need, or the amount of relationship, regardless of the distance, from the people that you're in it with.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds about right. What's the point?
How can you feel that?
What's the point of being here and doing this if it's all torture? If it's not beneficial to me in some way, if I'm not finding the good things to look forward to, if I have to be here anyways, and I guess I don't have to be here, but I'm choosing to be here.
It's just remarkable how isolationist you are. You're like it would be like an unpreviously explored island that's never communicated with everybody, and then like the explorers finally show up and they talk to you, and you're like, hey guys, I've just been chilling here. I mean, I knew I was part of the world. I knew you guys were out there. I just hadn't seen you yet.
Don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm just vibing on my island,
shit's
bro.
cool here right now, you know. And
I can't imagine.
Sometimes shit's not cool here, and then I make it cool here instead, and it's yeah. I don't know.
It's surprising for me that you can feel that while still feeling in it with everything else, even if it's just the universe. That
I feel
there's
like
a disconnect. I feel
it's what? I'm sorry.
I feel a disconnect because these are like fundamental cores of thought processes, or who we are, like what we fundamentally believe in, or how we see the world, or who we are as a person. To feel like you're in a life hallway or path, and that even if the other people on this stupid rock are on the path, even if you don't see them, is pretty remarkable to me. That's something I would never feel.
It's different frequencies, bro.
Yeah.
Different brain chemistry.
I like it.
Yeah,
I think it's really pretty.
It brings me a type of comfort in a way. And I think part of it's also a logical thing for me, where it's because it does bring me great comfort to realize that we are just a hurtling dirt ball covered with mold going through a vast expanse.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is involved with that is that whatever's here is also going through the same thing. You know, like every, you know, whether they're a wealthy, politician or a wealthy, like a business mogul or some kind of politician, like a large and controlled politician, or someone who's, destitute and has nothing. We're all dealing with different shit, but it's in the same place. It's in the same, we ain't that far from each other. We're not that far disconnected to a point where we can be disconnected from each other, like on a perspective, like from each other's perspectives, but it's not, we all bleed the same. We all cry. We all shit. We all try to come sometimes. We're all gross animals.
I have felt intense connection to that before, right? To everyone else, a larger consciousness than myself, whatever. But I cannot feel that naturally. And I think a lot of people think they do and they don't. I do really find it slightly remarkable, because I think you feeling that way, being how you are, is more genuine than most people saying they feel that way. Because I feel like a lot of people say that and there's no fucking way. And you can tell by their actions.
I will say it's definitely not something I actively think about on a regular basis. I think about it more often when we talk about shit like this and it comes up in conversation. But it's more of just like a subconscious passive thing in the back.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Okay.
It just seems like it works well for you that way.
I'm pretty fucking chill and great, so...
I can't get that naturally, and I wonder how much of that is...
Yeah, your worldview seems dark. It seems depressing, and I don't like it.
Yeah. But I've had this conversation in therapy a lot, and but it's one of those things, like, you can't out logic it. Like, some parts of how you perceive things or feel are so, I don't even feel like it's, because, in therapy settings, it's always like, oh, it's been so cemented or like built in to how you think. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine it different. But I do feel like there's parts of us that just are our true nature feeling.
Yeah, absolutely there is.
Like, if I alter my brain chemistry the right ways, I can feel love and connection to everyone. If I really pretend or try or put myself through the right experiences, I can feel the hallway and the people in it. But I can't, and I can even like say I think that way or pretend I think that way or just live that way, but I can't genuinely, at my most honest, feel that in my daily life, right? Or believe that to be.
Yeah, like it's brain chemistry. It's a way that you're built, but there's still, there is a point where you recognize that we are like we've discussed, like we still have similar motivations. We all still get sad about shit. We still
definitely,
still feel we still feel things. That's why like the psychopathy kind of thing, or the sociopath kind of thing, where you don't feel those emotions. It's such a taboo. It's such a strange thing that we talk about it because it is so very unhuman. I want to say unhuman because that sounds demeaning in a way I didn't mean it to. It's so very uncommon amongst humans that it catches our attention more. And not at all to say that you are by any means, a sociopath, but that you're not passively thinking of the relationship that we share.
It's selfishness. And I think a lot of people are similar. It may manifest differently, but I think it's hard for us to feel each other.
I think some philosophers or some psychiatrists would call that less of selfishness, more of maybe it is a selfishness, but maybe it's rooted in more of a defense mechanism of you're looking out for number one, and that mixed with a predetermined brain chemistry just translates differently in you than it does in me.
Well, I still think we should go to war together. No, I like playing with the fundamental thoughts. I feel like they're slightly changeable over long times, but there's parts of us, and we can believe it is something and be wrong, but I do think there's parts of all of us that are like if we're like a stone with flesh wrapped around. You know what I mean? Like there's part of us, so kind of. There's part of us that is inherently the way it is, and then we can alter how that manifests or what we do with it, what we do with that, the muscles and meat to like affect the world. But there's part of us that always is, or always at least feels certain ways that we can chip or crack a little bit, but there's an element. Yeah. It's not that we can't change what we do, but we can't always completely change who we are either.
Right. I was going to say, in relating that to, you're talking about your temper before, and like, I specified earlier that you can't change what other people do, but you can change how you react to it. Some people more easily than others. And that's a specific example of definitely. You can control the way that you act and what you do. In certain situations, it might be more difficult for you to react to certain things, or to control the way that you react to certain things than other people would. And on a different note, you might be better equipped to handle, grief, or handle certain things that maybe I don't, or maybe I'm not as well equipped to handle because of that different brain chemistry. And it might just be something that maybe I don't, maybe something that we haven't discussed, or that I'm not aware of yet, that I don't see in myself, or maybe it's something that doesn't come up as often, like I said, like grief or something like that. That's like not a constant, I guess that anger's not a constant, but it's a more prevalent feeling that is more normal to happen than grief. I don't know, man.
It's the yin yangs.
Yin and yangs.
I wish we had a final boss we could battle together, though.
I can.
Fucking Bowser.
Yeah. Well, when we go to war, we're bringing this army of cats with me. We have all these fucking stray cats that are hanging out in our backyard, and my mom's been putting out food for them. And because at first it started because she had a bunch of food that she had bought for her cat that he was allergic to. So she started putting it out for them, and. Also it's cold and but we see all these kitty tracks in the snow all the time. So it was just give them something. And sure enough, they come in, and they fill up in the morning and they get their, their bellies all full. And then, we don't see them till the next day or sometimes later on that night. But there's 5 of them now that we see. And one of them,
that's why they tell you not to feed stray cats.
Well, yeah, exactly.
In Detroit.
Well, we had seen them all individually, anyways, but now that they're all aware of the food center.
Yeah.
And one of them, I never saw a collar on him before, but my mom got a picture of him, and it looks like he's got a collar on. So hopefully he's got a home where you can sleep and go when it gets warm. But otherwise, these are our cats.
Hey,
these are our outdoor cats, and as long as I'm sure they're keeping away the mice and the rats and shit for us, and they're doing their part. They got their little bed I made out in the garage. I don't know if any of them has actually used it yet. I haven't fucked with that yet.
Well, it's a cool, purposeful side quest.
Yeah,
and
we'll train them. We'll armor them up and train them for battle.
Yeah, and they get to come to your nice island every once in a while. Eat some coconuts and catch some island vibes before going out into the craziness of the world.
That's how I like to think about it.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to call it.
I think so. Next week, something different. We're part of the reason we talked about change is we've just been playing with some ideas, and you guys you'll see it as we figure things out. But all good stuff ahead. I like these conversations because I forget we're talking, and it also
you forget we're being recorded.
I forget I'm talking too. I don't know who's.
Someone's speaking. I'm just listening.
I'm just chilling, preparing my weapons for war.
Damn right. Sharpen the battle axe. Who we fighting again? Doesn't matter.
Right. Doesn't matter.
Thanks again.
Ourselves. Yeah. The greatest foe.
It's ourselves. It's a constant struggle.
I am the boss at the end.
The final boss is you all along.
It's me. That's what death is, right?
That's how. Isn't that how Silent Hill 3 ended? Doesn't matter.
That sounds right. That's exactly how it ended.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thank you, John. I will, whenever you get it all figured out, John is starting a little independent record label.
Ooh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's
more
what's
on
up.
That sometime. Yeah.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats on Instagram for news and art from the show. Also check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes, if you are so bored you want to go to war, you can check out my shitty art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZACX. Finally got something new up there that I like a lot, the gold one.
Yeah, I really like that piece. I'm definitely considering that for a strong front runner for one of my jacket back pieces.
I got that one in, it's a bigger than normal size, so it would print big pretty well, I think. But yeah, work on some new stuff. Very excited.
Next week we're probably talking about the derealization, depersonalization.
Some demented brain disorder.
That'll go on. That'll go well with. Also, we talked about some dissociation this week. That'll be flow into it.
Pepper it in a little bit.
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.